Hey everyone, welcome back to Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics. Today we have an old beater from New Jersey. The guy drove it here 4 hours away. It's a 2003 Kia Rio with only 30,000 miles on it. It's rusted out, it smells like gasoline at 30,000 miles. Pretty crazy. Customer complaint is he can't pass his emissions inspection because the check engine light is on. And the code it's being set is a P0501 for a speed sensor. So let's get in it, scan it for codes, and do some research on the system. The sensor's been replaced apparently. Didn't help, so we'll try to figure this one out. Well, that's not safe. Oh, let's see. This is the base model. You get the roll-up windows, no cruise control. It's automatic. It does have AC. And here's the trouble code in the engine computer: P0501, vehicle speed sensor A, range performance. So, first thing, let's go into data stream and look at vehicle speed. I'm wondering if this thing is so rusty, perhaps the sensor is being, jacked away from the tone ring. Now, I did some research on the system. This is actually identical to a video Eric O just posted recently on a Kia or Hyundai, where this sensor lives on the right front wheel. So this vehicle does not have ABS, but the engine computer gets the vehicle speed from the right front wheel. There's a tone ring on the CV axle and two-wire sensor looking at that tone ring. In his case, you'll have to watch his video. That was a weird issue that required a part replacement. In this case, apparently the tone ring is fine and the sensor is new, so it'll be a different issue, I'm assuming, but we'll guess we'll find out soon. So in the engine computer we have 17 data PIDs and very slow communication. It's just processing, please wait, and it keeps going. We'll graph that. Let's start it up. It just says NA, not available. Well, let's take it out on the street, get some speed going, and see if anything registers on the scanner. This thing is a bucket. It needs all new suspension at 30,000 miles. So we're cruising about 20. See, the speedometer works fine. We got some weird noises going on. Maybe that's part of the problem. Nothing registering on the vehicle speed data PID. Let me go into global OBD2 and see if there's a vehicle speed data PID in here. If there is, we'll use that because the OEM data is, I don't know if I can trust it. Well, OBD2 mode is also very weird. You didn't read the VIN. It says the check engine light's off. It says we have 0 DTCs. It says that only 1 monitor is completed and 0 are uncompleted and 10 are not supported. Read fault code, Kia. Something's up with OBD2 communication. What if we do live data? Do we have a vehicle speed in here? Nope. So I don't like this. We could try a different scanner. This is not very useful at all. Alright, so we're going to do all the testing here in the bay with the key, or the engine off. So we need a battery maintainer, Tornado 90,000, 13.5 volts. And just doing a quick visual inspection. We heard a lot of bad noises coming from the front end. Surprisingly, everything's tight. That's tight. The wheel spins fine. I don't hear any rubbing or grinding. You can see the wire going to that wheel speed sensor. That's brand new. And just taking a quick peek under here. Oh, it looks a little rough. See, there's the tone ring. It's a little rusty, but it's in one piece. I don't see any cracks on it. So let's pop the wheel off, and I want to try the old trusty snap-on Varus here, because on old cars this seems to be more reliable. So let's first do OBD2 mode, OBD direct. Let's see if we can log in and actually read the correct code for the check engine light, and we'll see if we can read live data too. Okay, so it identified engine controller and transmission controller. Let's do readiness monitors. Since DTC is cleared, let's see if we can read all the monitors. I'm going to have to, if this works, I'm going to have to contact TOPDON and say, hey, what is going on with your OBD2 data? So misfire is complete, that's complete. O2 sensor not complete. So a lot of tests are not complete, but they are supported. So without the speed sensor, it can't complete a lot of the monitors. Let's look at live data or trouble codes. It should come up with that P0501. There it is, perfect. So Snap-on is winning. Now, current data, let's see if vehicle speed is one of the parameters. If not, we can go into the Kia side. Alright, so I got the car in gear, wheels spinning, vehicle speed 0 miles per hour. Let's rev it up. Still 0. Okay. Let's shut it down and get the wheel off and take a look at that sensor. Well, I think we found the problem. Here's the wheel speed sensor. Look at the gap between the tone ring and the sensor. I can stick my finger in there. No wonder it's not reading the speed. Let's do a little bypass test. Let me get a piece of metal. We'll make sure the sensor is working, computer's working. I don't know how this happened. The proof is in the pudding. I got a metal file here. I'm just gonna go right by the sensor. Yeah, we're reading speed. So either the wrong sensor is installed in the car, or the shop has no idea. This car went to a shop twice, and I asked them, like, you know, before making the guy drive the 10-hour round trip, can you look at the tone ring, make sure the tone ring is there, make sure the sensor is, the gap is okay. Guys, the gap is half an inch. This is ridiculous. If a shop can't diagnose this, what are they doing? I'm going to show it to the owner, and then we're going to have to do some research. Is this the wrong sensor? How is the gap that huge? So the owner says this is the 4th replacement sensor. The original one, it set a code, so they replaced it, and then it got frayed. That's why this is all zip tied, and then the 3rd one and the 4th one. So this is a spare sensor that was not installed, or it might have been installed. It looks a little rusty. But I'm interested, is this the correct part number? Because there's no way, even if you put that in, the gap is still huge. So we're going to have to do a little research on exactly what the part number is, what these sensors look like, and hopefully get the right one. There's nothing wrong with the wiring. We proved that. The signal can get there. The sensor just needs to be, about, I don't know, at least probably almost half an inch closer to this tone ring.
Wow, that's amazing.
Alright, so it took longer to actually pinpoint the correct part number for this vehicle than to diagnose the vehicle. I had to call the Kia dealership because nowhere online could I find the part number that I thought, because this sensor is definitely wrong. And all of the replacement parts are showing front right ABS sensor. For example, on All Data, front speed sensor, there's the part number. On Rock Auto, all of the sensors look like this, like our current replacement, and that matches up. However, this is not an ABS model, and everything is showing sensors for the ABS model.
They don't show anything for non-ABS?
Nope, not in Rock Auto. So I had to do a little more research, and someone ran into this problem online. So the Kia dealership actually gave me this part number, which is way different than the ABS model. So 0K32 Apple 18891. So I googled that and came up with this picture. This is what's currently installed. It says wrong. This is what we need. It says correct. See, the body is longer and the bolt hole is in line with the wire. Unlike this one, see, the wire comes in and the bolt hole is like 45 degrees off. Where do we get this part? We're going to try everything online. The dealer said it's discontinued. We can't find an aftermarket replacement. Maybe eBay, but this is going to be not easy. Well, this is a little discouraging. The only hit for this part number that says available is eBay. It doesn't show a picture. It's about $100. So yeah, so this is not the same scenario as Eric O's car. Kind of similar in terms of he didn't have a tone ring and we have the wrong sensor. But getting an axle, or even an aftermarket axle, is much easier than getting an aftermarket sensor. If the owner finds one, we'll do follow-up, but that's the end of the diagnosis. Now it's up to, find the correct part. I can't believe it's this hard. If it was an ABS model, wouldn't be a problem, but this is a non-ABS base model, and these sensors, they're not going to work. Could you try to modify this one to get closer to the tone ring? Maybe somehow, but the orientation of the little metal flat part is also 45 degrees off, so that might not work either. That's it for now. Thanks all for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. So the owner authorized me to modify the sensor since the original is unobtainium. We're going to try to make this work. We know that the circuit's good. We can activate. This needs to be closer to the tone ring. So we're going to cut off the mounting tab and shave down this. We take some measurements and shave this down enough so this will be closer to the tone ring when we install it in the knuckle. Let's take some measurements with the caliper. Alright, we got our calipers. So I'm measuring the gap between the existing wrong sensor and the tone ring, and that gap is about 8.6 millimeters. So we need to shave off about 8 millimeters off of here. So we're going to modify that other sensor and see if it'll fit in this hole. Alright, so I marked about 8 millimeters. There's the line, so we're going to have to shave off most of this and make this part thinner. We're going to use a grinder. Let's see if this works. Alright, here we go. Alright, well, this is my first attempt, so let's put it in and see if it'll read the wheel speed.
Okay.
Alright, so now the gap is less than a millimeter. I think that's doing okay. And I orient it so that the metal core is aligned with the tone ring. So the bolt is just kind of pinching the side of that, the remains of the mounting tab. The sensor is in there. It's not wobbling. Plugged it in. Plugs in right here by the washer tank. Right there. Let's turn the scanner on, see if we can read a wheel speed. So the only problem with this sensor is it got damaged by rubbing because it was obviously improperly installed. But let's try it out, see if we get any signal at all. We'll know that the gap is good. We can always modify this sensor as well. It's pretty easy to do with the grinder. Alright, moment of truth. Put the wheel on. Let's spin it. Look at that wheel speed. See if it registers. It does. Is that good enough? Keep in mind, we don't have ABS here, so we just need a wheel speed. Let's run the car in gear and make sure it's smooth up to 30 miles an hour. All right, here we go. I got the left wheel blocked. Fire it up. It's looking good. It's kind of jumping around though. It's definitely reading something. See, it's doing this. Is that good enough to pass the emissions monitors? I'm not sure. We're definitely at a steady speed here, like 20 miles an hour, or 30. This is going to be almost double. Get some vibrations going on. Pop it in neutral. That's probably good enough for the engine computer. So we can take a screenshot of that or save the data. And let's clear out the trouble code. See the check engine light goes away. So key off, key on. Display trouble codes one more time. Gathering codes. Let's try to delete it with the key, key on, engine off. I have to disconnect the battery. These old cars are sometimes quirky. Racing diagnostic data has been cleared. Key off. Key on. Okay, no check engine light. Trouble code. No codes present. Let's look at that wheel speed one more time. Now let's pop it in gear. See, I really don't like that it's jumping around like that, but I think you should be in good shape. Alright, so here's a final installation of the modified sensor. That's in. Got the wire routed away from the wheel. One zip tie, taped up that rub spot, put it in the clips. Make sure that when you turn the steering wheel, nothing bad happens to the wire. It's out of the way. Ooh, maybe that way. We need to support that a little bit. Well, let me take care of that too, so the sway bar link doesn't snag it. But we'll put the wheel on, take it for a test drive, make sure it's happy. And then the owner wants me to modify the other sensor just so he has a spare custom sensor. Alright, here's the wheel speed. So we're cruising along, and it only starts registering. It kind of does it in steps. Once we speed up, it should get a little more consistent. Yeah, it's not bad. It's going up and down a couple miles an hour. It sounds so loose in that right front wheel. And it does agree with the speedometer more or less. So I think it'll definitely let the vehicle pass its monitors. I really want to know what that rattling sound is. Alright, no codes present. Let's look at the readiness monitors. I'm sure they're not complete, most of them, because we just cleared the codes. And we won't know if the check engine light will come back on for any other reason until the customer drives it for a couple days. But at least we know that the speed sensor won't cause a code. So, not complete. Nothing's complete except for components. We could take a brief look at other live data just to make sure the fuel trims are appropriate. Let me pull that up. Fuel trims look to be on the money, 3%. Make sure bank 1 sensor 1 is oscillating, but the data refresh rate is so slow that it might seem that it's not doing much. That rubbing sound is concerning, and I think the strut mount is shot on the right front. But hey, as long as it doesn't have a check engine light, we're good to go. Who cares about door handles and suspension? That was technically no parts required. We just used an old part and modified it. Total Russian hack. I'm pretty sure no other shop would do that. But what else are you going to do? The part's discontinued. It's been discontinued for years. The dealer can't get it. No aftermarket replacement that we could find. So sometimes you just got to think outside the box. It's just a wheel speed sensor that needs to be close to the tone ring. So we just cut it to fit and slammed it in there. Seems to be doing all right. The owner will keep me posted on if he passes the emissions inspection. So thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. A little bonus footage. The lug nuts on this wheel were completely loose. Like these two were finger tight and two were at 10 foot-pounds, maybe. Just make sure that that's the only issue. We'll spin the wheel, listen for rubbing sounds, make sure the axle doesn't have any loose play in the CV joint. Man, this thing looks crusty here. But let's torque the wheel down and take it for another test drive. By the way, the horrendous strut noise on the bumps, this front right strut completely wasted. There's no damping going on at all. The left one is still okay. Alright, much better on the scraping sound. Now we just have the strut making a racket. It'll make it back to New Jersey, no problem. So that wheel's just going ba 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 ba.